As summers kick in, heat waves are beginning to scorch the Indian plains. And that is when a familiar ritual kicks in. ACs switch on, fans run full speed, and electricity demand starts climbing. On April 25, India hit a record electricity demand, 256 gigawatts. A day before that, 252 gigawatts. The grid held. Solar chipped in with roughly 22%. But this is no longer just about staying cool, because the rise in temperature is now pushing India's power system closer to its limits. And it's not just homes. Behind the scenes, a second wave is also building. Data centers powering AI, cloud, and digital services, running 24/7 and consuming huge amounts of electricity. Put the two together and the scale becomes clear. Over the next decade, cooling demand alone would force India to double its power capacity. Let's start with cooling. In 2006, India overall had about 2 million ACs. In 2025 alone, 15.4 million AC units were sold. By 2030, that number is expected to reach 28 million annually. Cooling demand is already pulling around 50 gigawatts at peak. By 2035, that could jump to 180 gigawatts. That's more than triple. To put it simply, a large chunk of future electricity demand will come from keeping homes and offices cool. Right now, India's installed power capacity is about 520 gigawatts. According to the Central Electricity Authority, peak demand could hit 459 gigawatts by 2035-36. To meet that, total capacity needs to reach around 1,121 gigawatts. That's more than double. And cooling is a major reason behind that jump, because unlike factories, AC demand spikes suddenly during heat waves and pushes the grid to its limits. Here's where things get tricky. On April 25, solar power peaked at 81 gigawatts in the afternoon. At one point, it was contributing up to 33% of the demand. But solar fades in the evening and demand doesn't. So what fills the gap? Coal, which is still the backbone, supplies about 2/3 of peak demand. Hydro helps, rising to about 11-12% in the evening. Gas chips in with around 2%. But coal plants are already operating near their minimum technical limits, around 55% load. That limits how much they can ramp up or down. So the grid is now dealing with a new problem, not just how much power to produce, but when. At the same time, there's a new layer of demand building up, data centers. India's digital economy, including cloud, AI, fintech, is expanding fast. And data centers don't switch off. They run 24/7, they need constant high-quality power. And they need cooling too. Globally, data centers consume about 1 to 2% of total electricity. In India, demand is expected to rise sharply, especially in cities like Mumbai, Chennai, Hyderabad, and Delhi NCR. So now you have two pressures building together, homes cooling themselves and servers cooling themselves. India's renewable energy output is growing at a rapid pace. More than half of India's installed capacity is now non-fossil. On April 25, renewables contributed about 30% of total generation. Solar alone was about 24%. By 2035-36, India could have 509 gigawatts of solar as part of a 1,121 gigawatt system. But there's a catch. Solar works when the sun is out, but peak demand often continues after sunset. That's where storage comes in. India currently has about 28.7 gigawatt hours of battery storage and 78.7 gigawatt hours of pumped storage is under construction. Transmission is another bottleneck. The country needs 137,500 circuit kilometers of new lines and about 7.9 trillion rupees in investment by 2035. Because generating power is one thing and moving it where it's needed is another. There is one lever: efficiency. Most ACs in India use R32 refrigerant. An alternative propane-based R290 is far more efficient. It can deliver the same cooling using about 25% less electricity. At scale, that could cut peak demand by tens of gigawatts. But adoption is slow, and Indian regulations still limit how much of this refrigerant can be used, despite it already being widely used in LPG cylinders. So this is as much a policy question as a technology one. India has shown it can handle record demand. Better forecasting, stronger transmission corridors, more solar, and more coordinated grid operations. But the next phase is harder. By 2035, the grid has to support more ACs, more data centers, and more volatility from the climate. So the real question is no longer whether India can generate enough power, but can it deliver that power exactly when millions of ACs switch on at the same time? Follow Business Standard for more such stories.